Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. We're going to talk a little bit about The Invite this morning. New movie came out. Seth Rogen, Olivia Wilde, Penelope Cruz, and Edward Norton, directed by Olivia Wilde. I went and saw that last night and I really enjoyed it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, I want to remind people what they missed if they did not get the newsletter last night. Had an article on self-defense about how absolutes are not present in self-defense, and anybody telling you there's absolutes, your warning flags ought to go up. Also talked about an old samurai maxim. Might not really be old, can't verify that, but there's some truth in it. So I had an article about that. And then I also had an article on personal development, dreaming and making magic. There was links to movie review, links to new blog posts. So if you're not getting that newsletter, go to enjoylifesafely.com, get signed up. Good stuff coming at you every week. While you're there, check out the courses. There's a few courses there already, and there'll be more in the future. So check out all the good stuff at Enjoy Life Safely, because you missed some good stuff last night, and next week there's going to be more. Now let's talk about the movie The Invite. So the movie starts out with Seth Rogen at a school where he's teaching music and then bicycling home. He's just getting done, and then he has a long bicycle ride uphill San Francisco to get to where he lives. That's when the credits and stuff are going. I say that because that is the only scene of the entire movie that is not within the apartment. When he gets home and gets inside the apartment with his wife, Olivia Wilde's character, the rest of the movie is inside that apartment. There are only 4 people in the entire movie. Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton come over. They're the only 4 in the movie, and the entire movie takes place in that apartment. It really could be a stage play, the way it was done. It's a dark comedy because it's definitely funny. A lot of places you're going to laugh, especially if you're married, because it hits on tensions and stuff that are develop in relationships. But Seth and Olivia, they don't have the best marriage. They got some problems going on. And Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton come over for dinner. They were invited for dinner. And they have a unique relationship with guests coming over for sex, basically. I mean, the movie is loaded with dialogue about sex. So graphic sexual dialogue. There's no nudity or graphic sex, but the film is filled with dialogue about sex and language. So that's why it has the R-rated. And if that offends you, you might not like the movie. But they come over and the two discover that it's not just them upstairs they've been hearing, but sometimes 4, 6, up to 10 people up there they've been hearing. And Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz's intention when they came down for dinner was to invite them to join them, whether that night or another time in the future, whatever is convenient. So that's the story. You have the mixed up relationship and the fighting and bantering going between them. Then you have the new couple come down, and then it turns to the sex conversation and then the invitation to be joined and where that takes them and different things. And it was just very well done. The performances, especially, Edward Norton, fantastic actor. If you look at the body of work that he has done and the different roles and how he's like a chameleon and goes into these roles, fantastic actor. He does a very good performance. Seth Rogen, who I am having more respect for him all the time with how he has grown from those initial roles that we saw him into. So those two, fantastic job. And Olivia and Penelope Cruz, Olivia Wilde, Penelope Cruz, also, bring great performances. I think the two men, their performances outshine the two ladies a little bit, but all four of them did a fantastic job. And Olivia Wilde did an excellent job of directing this and putting this film together. And so it was a very well done movie with such a small budget, I'm assuming. After you've paid those four actors, there wasn't much else. I mean, the credits were very short. I mean, and in the credits, they even were listing the stand-ins, which you usually don't see that much in credits, or there's so much going by, you don't catch it. They had the stand-ins for the four. And for those of you not familiar with the movie world, I've been a stand-in before. You remember, if you like the new show Marshals with Casey Dutton, well, when he was on Yellowstone, I was Casey's stand-in one day years ago in the Yellowstone film. But basically what a stand-in does is you're dressed in the same type of clothes and you stand there while they get the lighting and the cameras, and they might tell you to do a little bit of motion so they can get the camera work all ready, so they know what to do. All the lighting is perfect and everything. And when they're completely ready, they tell you to get out of the way, and they bring the actor in and they do the scene. And then when they cut and they have to change the lighting and change the cameras, the actor goes and takes a break, and they bring the stand-in guys, and they stand there and do what the actor is going to do just to get the cameras set up, get out of there. But they actually listed the stand-in people in the credits of this movie because the credits were so short, because it didn't take a lot to make this film. And it was an exceptionally well done film for probably very low budget. It probably didn't take that long to film. I don't know their shooting schedule, but it was probably done in a short schedule because days are money and they like to shoot as short as possible. And they put out a good film. If you're a married person with ever had problems and tension in the marriage, you're going to relate to some of that. When it gets into the sex things, I don't care what your bedroom practices are, but that was just sort of different when they're talking about the sexual practices and different things. But good film. And it definitely had some funny stuff in it. And I really respected the performances and how they did that. And again, it was almost like a stage play because everything was done right in that one little setting. So that's my take on The Invite. I thought it was just a really good movie for that type of movie. I want to say good morning to Thad. Thad was here and said good morning. Thank you, Thad. Appreciate that. Dixon's here. Dixon said, I really like the article about dreaming big, but not so big as to use up all your magic. Thank you, Dixon. And Dixon's talking about one of the articles in the newsletter. If you saw my social media post last week, it sort of had a Disney theme. It had a picture of me from Disney World. And I was saying, dream big and create the magic, like Walt did. And I often take those pictures as something to then write about and stimulate some writing. And so that's what that article came from. Thank you, Dixon. Jay said, good morning from Jay and Vicky and Sasha. Thank you three for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for saying hello. Hope your Monday's going well. Dixon also said, wow, Penelope Cruz with blonde hair. I would never have paired those actors, either couple, as married partners. Yeah, it was surprising when she showed up with the blonde hair. And again, all four of them just really did a good job. The fighting between Olivia Wilde and Seth before they showed up, and then when they showed up, the stuff going on, not wanting him to say something, and I'm going to say something, and this. And then Edward Norton, his character is sort of different, but he's just such a solid actor. And there were a couple of times where he was, went into a dialogue and just, nailed it. So it was just very worthy and great performances by them. And I said, I really think Edward and Seth's performances just stood out. I mean, if you were going to give awards to any of these four, I think they would be a little bit higher up of maybe winning an award than the ladies, but all four of them did a great job. So good movie as far as what they did and how they did it. And like I said, I laughed quite a few times too. I mean, it was funny, even though some of the humor is sort of dark, because the humor is related to tensions and relationships and so forth. But it had a satisfying ending too. So I just enjoyed it. That's what I have to say about The Invite. Go to enjoylifesafely.com if you're not getting that newsletter, and get that newsletter and check out everything else that is available there. And a lot of good stuff every week. And for this Monday, I want you to do what my coffee cup says. Think of the happiest things. So think of the happiest things. Make it a marvelous Monday. I'll be back to see you tomorrow.